At DFW Airport Operations Manager James Thornton sees a flag-draped casket as just another delay. Focused on metrics and flight schedules, he reaches to move it until tomb guard Sergeant Samuel Harper stops him cold. Don't touch the flag. Thornton scoffs. Who's this soldier to defy him? But what he doesn't know is that Harper is escorting a fallen hero and the woman filming a congressional judge on military protocol. Stick around, because when Shuffler Flag Guardian goes viral, James Thornton's authority image and legacy start to collapse. They thought it was just airport protocol. What they didn't know was it would ignite a national reckoning. Where are you watching from? And what's the time there? Let us know in the comments below. Subscribe to join our community. James Thornton adjusts his golden operations manager badge, the fluorescent lights of DFW International's Terminal D dancing across its polished surface. Another delayed flight means his perfect efficiency record, his pride and power, is at risk. His world revolves around numbers metrics and the precise choreography of aircraft and passengers. But now an obstacle stands in his way, a flag-draped casket and its stubborn guardian. The military transport vehicle blocks his fastest route, and Sergeant Samuel Harper's rigid stance beside it represents everything that threatens James Thornton's controlled universe. The guard's ramrod posture and unwavering gaze spark something between irritation and rage in Thornton's chest. "This needs to move, now!" Thornton's voice carries the weight of 2 decades of authority. His hands reach for the flag's edge, perfectly manicured nails brushing the crisp fabric. "We'll just adjust this for better clearance." "Don't touch the flag!" Harper's words crack like rifle shots across the terminal. Thornton freezes, disbelief flooding his system. In his 20 years managing this airport, no one has dared defy him so openly. He straightens to his full height, adjusting his Italian silk tie. "Do you know who I am? This is my terminal. My rules. Your little ceremony is holding up a 747 with 300 passengers." Phones emerge from the growing crowd of passengers, their cameras capturing every second. Thornton doesn't care. Let them film. They'll see how a real professional handles disruptions to airport efficiency. "This isn't a ceremony, sir." Harper's quiet voice carries steel. This is Sergeant Michael Chen's final journey home to his family. He gave his life in service of that flag. Something flickers in Thornton's chest, uncertainty, but he crushes it beneath decades of practiced authority. His hand instinctively moves to his badge thumb, brushing its smooth surface. This badge means something. It means control. "I don't care if it's the president himself, my metrics." "Sir," a woman's voice cuts through the tension. "I'm Judge Sarah Monroe from the Congressional Committee on Military Affairs. I was on my way to a hearing about respecting military protocols at civilian airports." She gestures to the growing number of phones recording. "Please continue explaining why your metrics supersede military honors." Thornton's face burns as he notices the hashtag #ChotorFlagGuardian already trending on the screens of nearby passengers. His perfect world of schedules and efficiency ratings suddenly feels less solid, less certain. Day. Type honor if you believe some things matter more than metrics, flashes across the livestream comments. In 20 years of managing this airport, James Thornton has never faced a force he couldn't control, a rule he couldn't bend to his will. But as he stands there, his badge suddenly feeling heavier against his chest, a question echoes through his mind. What happens when the immovable object of military tradition meets the unstoppable force of his authority? All around him, phones keep recording, passengers keep sharing, and somewhere in the digital ether, Chor Flag Guardian climbs higher and higher. For the first time in decades, James Thornton feels his grip on power beginning to slip. Have you ever watched your perfect world start to crumble? He thinks, fingers tracing the edge of his badge. Have you felt the ground shift beneath your feet, questioning everything you thought you knew about power and control? The casket remains unmoved, the flag undisturbed, and Sergeant Harper stands his ground. A silent guardian of traditions Thornton has always dismissed as inefficient. But now, as the viral moment unfolds around him, a subtle doubt takes root. Perhaps some things can't be measured in minutes and metrics. Will James Thornton's empire of efficiency survive this collision with unshakable honor? The answer begins to unfold in the next crucial hours, as his world of perfect control faces its greatest challenge yet. James Thornton stares at the flashing numbers on his tablet, each declining percentage point, feeling like a personal indictment. The bustling terminal that has been his domain for 5 years, following his father's 30-year legacy, now seems to mock him with its inefficiency. The quarterly performance metrics couldn't have chosen a worse time to plummet, not with tomorrow's review looming. "Sir, there's another military transport arriving in 30 minutes. His assistant Sarah mentions cautiously, knowing how the morning's confrontation with Sergeant Samuel Harper has left him on edge. James's jaw tightens as he remembers Harper's unyielding stance, those cold eyes boring into him as if he were somehow less American for prioritizing airport operations over what he considers excessive ceremony. The weight of his airport operations manager badge feels unusually heavy against his chest today. James finds himself absently touching it, a habit he picked up from watching his father all those years. Richard Thornton had worn an identical badge, ruling this terminal with unwavering efficiency for 3 decades. The airport is a machine, son. His father's voice echoes in his memory. Sentiment kills efficiency. Never forget that. Pulling up the airport's historical data, James discovers something that makes his blood run cold. Every military transport over the past 5 years has caused similar efficiency dips. Small disruptions he'd overlooked, but which compound into significant performance issues. His father had managed to avoid these ceremonial delays through careful scheduling and what he'd called practical arrangements with military personnel. The distant notes of taps float through the terminal again, and James's hands tremble slightly as he sets down the tablet. He never served, chose the practical path of business school instead, just as his father had wanted. The military's dedication to tradition and ceremony had always seemed foreign to him, an unnecessary complication in the smooth operation of modern aviation logistics. A notification pops up on his screen. Thornton V's tradition is trending on local social media. Someone had filmed his confrontation with Harper, capturing his dismissive wave towards the flag-draped casket. The comments are scathing, filled with veterans and civilians alike condemning his disrespect for the fallen. Your father knew how to handle these situations better. Gerald, a longtime maintenance supervisor, comments while passing by. He understood the importance of appearances, at least. The words sting more than James wants to admit. His father had indeed maintained perfect efficiency ratings, while somehow avoiding public relations disasters like this. Digging deeper into his father's old files, James uncovers a pattern that makes his stomach turn. Confidential emails reveal his father's systematic manipulation of military transport schedules, deliberately routing fallen soldier transports through other airports whenever possible. The efficient machine his father built had been running on carefully hidden prejudices against military ceremonies. The badge feels like it's burning against his chest now. James Thornton realizes he's not just fighting against Sergeant Harper's traditions. He's wrestling with a decades-old system of institutional bias that his own father engineered. Studies on corporate culture flash through his mind from his MBA days, how organizational behaviors become ingrained, passed down like toxic heirlooms from leader to leader. A new email notification appears. Emergency Board Meeting regarding military transport protocols. The efficiency ratings continue their relentless decline on his tablet, each percentage point now feeling less like a metric and more like a judgment on not just his performance, but his character. Type legacy in the comments if you've ever discovered something troubling about a system you inherited. James Thornton stands at his office window, watching another flag-draped casket being escorted across the tarmac with precise military ceremony. His father's pragmatic voice whispers in his memory, "The airport is a machine, son." But for the first time in his career, James Thornton questions whether a well-oiled machine is worth the cost of its cold efficiency. James Thornton's phone vibrates for the 100th time, each notification like a hammer striking his temples. From his office overlooking Terminal C, he watches another group of veterans in their distinctive caps, filing through the main concourse, their presence making his throat tighten. The operations badge pinned to his chest, once his proud symbol of absolute airport control, now feels heavy conspicuous. "Sir, mine stand with Harper is trending nationwide." His assistant's voice trembles through the intercom. "CNN just picked up the story?" James Thornton's fingers drum nervously on his desk as he scrolls through his social media feed. The video of his confrontation with Sergeant Samuel Harper has exploded, already reaching millions. His own words echo back at him through tinny phone speakers across the terminal. "This isn't Arlington. Move the casket now." Each replay makes him wince. The steady rhythm of military boots on terminal tiles grows louder. Through his office window, James Thornton counts at least 30 service members, now their formations creating perfect lines near the gate where Harper stands guard over the flag-draped casket. The sight sends a chill down his spine. This isn't the efficient, streamlined airport operation he's built his career on. His corporate phone lights up again. The regional director's name flashes on screen, the third call in an hour. James Thornton lets it go to voicemail, his hand instinctively reaching to adjust his operations badge, a nervous habit he's developed since this morning's confrontation. "Mr. Thornton." A young gate agent appears at his door, pale-faced. There's a Medal of Honor recipient asking to speak with you about the ceremony." The walls of his office seem to close in. James Thornton tugs at his collar, suddenly too tight. "Tell them I'm in a meeting, and get security to clear that crowd. They're blocking the walkway." But when he peers out again, the security officers are standing back, some even removing their caps as they pass the casket. James Thornton's authority is evaporating like morning mist, and he knows it. A new hashtag catches his eye. Thornton shame. His stomach lurches as he sees his corporate headshot side by side with the fallen soldier's military portrait. The contrast is devastating, his polished smile against the young soldier's earnest gaze in uniform. "Sir," his assistant's voice breaks through again, "the veterans groups are calling for your resignation, and your handling of the situation is being discussed on military forums nationwide." James Thornton's hands shake as he reaches for his operations badge, the metal cool against his fingertips. For 15 years, this badge has meant total control over every aspect of terminal operations. Now it feels like a target, marking him as the man who tried to rush a fallen soldier's final journey. When he suggested moving the ceremony to a back corridor, Sergeant Harper's response had cut through him like steel. "This soldier died facing the enemy, sir. He won't be hidden away in his final march home." The sound of taps drifts through the terminal, played by a veteran who's joined the growing crowd. James Thornton watches as passengers stop in their tracks, many filming with their phones. His efficient airport schedule is in shambles, but not a single complaint has been filed. His phone buzzes again, this time with a message from his own son. "Dad, how could you? My friend's brother served with that soldier." James Thornton slumps in his chair, the weight of his decisions crushing down on him. Through the window, he sees Sergeant Harper still standing at perfect attention, unmoved by the chaos he's created in James Thornton's carefully controlled world. Type respect if you believe some things matter more than schedules, scrolls across one of the viral videos already gathering thousands of comments. The sound of military boots continues to echo through his terminal where he no longer seems to hold any real power at all. James Thornton's fingers trace the cold metal of his airport operations manager badge, the fluorescent lights of Terminal C reflecting off its surface. His morning efficiency reports lie forgotten on his desk as the terminal falls eerily quiet. The usual cacophony of announcements and rolling luggage fades, replaced by something unprecedented. The measured rhythmic click of military boots on polished floor tiles. Through the glass walls of his office, Thornton watches Captain Carter approach medals gleaming on his dress uniform. Each step feels like a hammer driving home Thornton's colossal error in judgment. His throat tightens as he recognizes the expression on Carter's face, the same unyielding dignity he'd seen in Sergeant Harper's eyes hours earlier. "The choice is yours, Mr. Thornton." Captain Carter's voice carries the weight of centuries of tradition. "That flag-draped casket represents more than your scheduling concerns." James Thornton's hands shake as he pulls up the security feeds on his monitor. The scene unfolding across his screens steals his breath. Hundreds of passengers and veterans forming an impromptu honor corridor throughout his carefully managed terminal. Thornton's. Shame trends on his phone alongside viral videos of his earlier confrontation with Harper. Efficiency. James Thornton whispers the word tasting like ash in his mouth. His precious metrics and schedules, the foundation of his 15-year career, suddenly seem meaningless against the power of this spontaneous tribute. The rhythmic sound of Sergeant Harper's measured steps leading the honor guard echoes through the terminal each footfall, stripping away another layer of Thornton's bureaucratic armor. A Vietnam veteran in a wheelchair positions himself at attention. A young mother explains in hushed tones to her curious child why everyone stands so still. A pilot and his entire crew stand ramrod straight, their uniforms crisp in the morning light. This is what Harper had tried to tell him, what Thornton had been too blind to see. James Thornton's fingers close around his badge one last time. The metal feels different now, heavier, with the weight of choice. Without a word, he steps out of his office, removes the badge, and places it carefully on his desk. His steps are uncertain at first, then steadier, as he makes his way to the honor corridor. "Sir!" A young veteran acknowledges him with a nod as James Thornton takes his place in line. Standing at attention, he finally understands the lesson Harper had tried to teach him about dignity transcending efficiency. The sound of the honor guard's approaching steps fills the terminal, and for the first time in his career, James Thornton measures success not in minutes saved, but in respect given. Type honor if you believe some traditions matter more than schedules. Sergeant Harper passes with the honor guard, and James Thornton's spine straightens further. In this moment, he's no longer Airport Operations Manager Thornton, the efficiency expert. He's simply a man learning that sometimes the most important operational decision is choosing humanity over protocol. The morning sun streams through the terminal windows, catching the flags, stars, and stripes as they pass. James Thornton blinks back unexpected tears, understanding finally that some delays carry their own kind of dignity. The viral hashtag continues to spread, but somehow it matters less now. What matters is this moment, this choice, this silent ceremony of respect that no spreadsheet could ever quantify. James Thornton stares at his reflection in the airport terminal's window, his operations manager badge heavy in his pocket. The early morning light casts long shadows across the empty concourse, much like the shadows that have stretched across his conscience these past 24 hours. The viral video of his confrontation with Tomb Guard Sergeant Samuel Harper has reached millions. Thornton's shame still trending as he watches another plane land. "Some protocols can't be measured in minutes," he whispers to himself, remembering Harper's unwavering stance beside Private Walsh's flag-draped casket. The memory of young Emma Walsh's tears burns deeper than any professional reprimand ever could. The terminal's usual bustle seems muted today, as if the very building holds its breath for what comes next. James reaches into his pocket, fingers tracing the edges of his badge. Once a symbol of authority, now a reminder of his greatest mistake. The morning news plays on nearby screens, his own face a constant reminder of yesterday's confrontation. Airport manager apologizes for disrespecting fallen soldiers ceremony, scrolls across the bottom of every screen. The Walsh family enters the terminal, led by Sergeant Harper, in his immaculate uniform. James straightens his tie, his hands trembling slightly. The flutter of the American flag overhead provides the only sound in the suddenly silent space. Airport staff and travelers stop, forming a respectful circle around them. Mrs. Walsh, Emma. James begins, his voice carrying across the hushed terminal. Yesterday I failed not just in my duties as an operations manager, but as an American and a human being. I let efficiency blind me to dignity numbers overshadow honor. He removes his badge, holding it out before him. This badge represented authority to me, but Sergeant Harper showed me what true authority looks like. The kind earned through respect and dedication to something greater than ourselves. Emma Walsh, barely 12, stands straight-backed beside her mother, her father's courage evident in her bearing. James continues, his voice thick with emotion. Your father's sacrifice deserves every second of honor we can give and more. I was wrong to try to rush his final journey home. The terminal's PA system crackles to life, announcing another departure, but nobody moves. James reaches into his other pocket and withdraws his letter of resignation. Some traditions transcend time schedules, he says, echoing Harper's words from yesterday. Some moments demand we stop everything and remember what truly matters. Sergeant Harper steps forward, his ceremonial guard boots clicking against the terminal floor. The sound echoes like a final judgment. Mr. Thornton, he says, his voice carrying the weight of centuries of tradition. Acknowledgement of error requires more courage than blind adherence to protocol. James looks up at the massive arrival Tonjark departure board, where flight schedules scroll endlessly. From this day forward, this airport will have a new protocol. Every fallen soldier's arrival will receive full honors, however long it takes. I've made sure it's my last official act as operations manager. Emma Walsh steps forward, her small hand reaching out to touch the badge James still holds. Dad always said mistakes don't define us. How we fix them does. The morning sun breaks through the terminal's eastern windows, catching the metal of James's badge one last time before he places it and his resignation letter on the memorial plaque they've installed where Private Walsh's casket rested yesterday. The plaque reads, "Honor guards time. Time guards honor." A spontaneous applause breaks out, spreading through the terminal like a wave. James catches sight of his viral moment playing yet again on the terminal screens, but this time it's followed by this morning's gathering. Thornton, learned, has started trending, replacing yesterday's shame with today's redemption. Type honor if you believe some traditions are worth protecting. Scrolls across social media feeds sharing the live stream of this moment. Share this if you've ever learned the hard way that efficiency isn't everything. As James turns to leave, Sergeant Harper's voice stops him. Tomorrow's another day, Mr. Thornton. The airport still needs people who can learn from their mistakes. James pauses, looking back at his badge on the memorial plaque. Perhaps some falls lead to better landings. Have you ever had to choose between what's efficient and what's right? Comment below with your story of choosing honor over convenience.